Yeah, and I feel like something that's really interesting that's not necessarily talked about with engagement into the broadcast that has nothing to do with the broadcast itself, but has to do with the player salaries. Whereas before, when the player salaries were much more
Oh yeah.
smaller than they were now, streaming was a much bigger relative amount of income.
Yes.
And now income from streaming might be 10% of your income if you're a big streamer. So there's no pro players streaming basically. There's maybe like 5 or 10 that stream consistently, and they stream to 100-200 people at most.
Oh, has the actual viewership for the streamers gone down as well, like the big names?
I mean, a lot of the big names aren't even streaming. Like
Right.
you'll have Afromoo is still like a fairly big streamer. He'll still get decent numbers. Yeah, there's a lot of EU streamers. Yeah, a lot of EU players are streaming, but also the salaries are relatively less inflated there. But yeah, in NA, there are very few players streaming and the numbers are much lower. And that means that there's less sort of personality and less reason for you to actually care about these players. As an example, it's just somebody like Sword Art. You're paying so much money for him, but there's no content made around him. Like, I have no idea who Sword Art is. He's just some like LMS.
There used to be stuff in some of the contracts where you had to stream a certain amount. So I wonder if that's changed, because I mean I'm not someone who's seen player contracts in NA, but I know that was a thing. Wonder if that's a change in the direction which the orgs want to go in as well.
That's one area, without going down a massive tangent, where like basically that was one of the areas where when I talked to a lot of LCS owners, they basically had to sort of like almost be like the adult in the room for the fucking pro players. Because the problem is every pro player since about 2010, just when they do a negotiation, it goes like this. Can I get the total dollar amount to be the highest possible? And then you go, yes, we can do that. And then they go, no, but I need it to be more than that. And you go, if I make it more, then I have to put in these things. Like you have to, stream 20 hours a week. You have to do extra sponsor. And then what they do is, like little kids, like just wanting candy instead of dinner. They just go, yeah, whatever, okay. And then they agree, right? And then
Son of a bitch, I'm in.
Oh no, how outrageous they are is they'll take the money, and then when you go like, well, you're not meeting your deliverables, you're not doing the 20 hours, and you didn't do those, like what happened to the sponsor thing you agreed. They will then just be like, oh, but I'm really tired, and like, I have no time. And it's like, so basically, as far as I know, some of the owners like literally started almost like just not letting them have those deals, like started telling some of them like, look, we'll start you off on this, like we'll do half the amount and we'll see if you can manage that, because basically the players would sort of promise everything and then not deliver, because I mean, understandably, all they really want to do is play the game. They don't really want to do all the extra shit that feels like work,
I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem.
It is.
So I think that's naive, because, and I think that's naive not just for players, it's for a lot of people in esports in different roles. I mean, myself as a caster, I'm very aware that if I'm not appearing on content, if I'm not being active on socials, if I'm not making something which can sustain myself outside of a contract, if that goes tits up, I have nothing at that point.
Yes.
And for players, you need to have something to fall back on, and because that gives you bargaining power too as well. So you need to set up some kind of bedrock to work off of. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up where you're not really prepared for anything to go outside of what you'd expected.
Yeah, I feel like some of these LCS contracts should be sort of like tiered based off of, if you do this, like say as an example, if you go to Worlds, we'll pay you double. Like this Sword Art deal, 6 million. That 6 million could buy you a 4th place in the LCS. That's a very possible situation that we get into. And without having that money being necessarily tied to performance, there's also just less of an incentive to perform, because Sword Art's going to get this money anyway. There might be a big problem that could be hard to fix, but it is fixable. But then what's the point of getting the effort if it gets the money anyway?
Yes. I will say that is one area that they actually did improve a little bit the last few years, which is, unless you are someone, like I don't know in the Sword Art case, because unfortunately, like TSM were just super horny. They had to have that player, as people saw from the off-season. But if it's one where it's like, there's not like an insane bidding war, because obviously, unfortunately, the bidding war means to win the bidding war, you probably have to just not have any limitations to just give the guy all the money,
Also, if it's perks, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically those players, they probably did just get all the money, because unfortunately that's probably why that guy won the bidding war. But there's actually other people, like I'll give you an example. If I had to guess, I say that because I don't want to just reveal entirely. It's people like Jensen, they probably have very similar contracts where it's like a very nice space and a really high overall salary, but a lot of it's built into like, and you've got to get us to like the final of LCS, or you've got to like go to Worlds. Like there will be like a healthy amount of the actual like bonus. Like that might be like 200k bonus for going to Worlds or something. So they have started to do that with some players. Again, like I say, it just depends basically if you can sort of skirt that because you're just so in demand. Like that, and that's, by the way, you'll never get past that. It's the same in sports. Like in sports, there will always be people who get massive contracts they don't deserve because they just were really good last year and someone will gamble on them whether they're worth it or not. Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.